Ever try navigating a new city, where like half the street signs are missing?
Okay.
And good luck if you need a wheelchair ramp, right?
Right.
Well, that's the everyday reality for millions online. If websites aren't designed with accessibility in mind, it's like trying to get around a city that's not built for everyone.
Makes sense.
And that's what we're diving into today, ADA compliance for websites. But hold up, this isn't just about like dodging lawsuits. It's about making the internet truly inclusive, welcoming to everyone, and spoiler alert, it's good for business too.
I like the sound of that.
So before we get into the how, let's clarify what we even mean by ADA compliance in the digital world. It's not exactly about ramps and braille on a website, right?
Right. It's more about digital equity,
Yeah.
making sure everyone has equal access to information and functionality online.
Okay, so like someone who's visually impaired or someone who has difficulty hearing, maybe they can't use a mouse easily.
Exactly. ADA compliance means designing websites that are usable by people with a wide range of disabilities.
Got it. So we're thinking about all sorts of different needs.
Yeah.
I'm already starting to feel a little self-conscious about my own website. But how do we even measure accessibility? It's not like there's a ruler for this, is there?
Well, actually, there kind of is.
Really?
Yeah, it's called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG for short.
Okay.
They're the internationally recognized standards for what makes website accessible.
WCAG, got it. So it's not just a nice to have, there are actual guidelines businesses should be following.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's get real for a sec. For those listening who might be thinking, why should I care about this? What's the benefit beyond just avoiding a lawsuit?
Well, yeah, let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The legal risks are very real. We're seeing more and more lawsuits related to website accessibility, and it can happen to anyone, big or small.
Yeah, no one's immune. I feel like those stories are all over the news these days, and those lawsuits can get expensive, right?
Oh, absolutely. The costs can be significant.
Okay, so there's the legal motivation, but isn't there a huge opportunity here too? We threw out a stat earlier, 61 million.
Wow.
61 million adults in the U.S. alone live with a disability.
That's a lot of people.
That's an incredible number of potential customers that businesses might be missing out on if their sites aren't accessible.
And it's not just about reaching those 61 million, though that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But when you design with accessibility in mind, you're creating a better experience for everyone. Good design is inherently accessible design.
Give me an example. What's something that makes a website better for everyone, not just those with disabilities?
Well, take clear and concise language, for instance.
Okay.
That benefits someone with a cognitive disability, for sure. But it also helps anyone who's ever, quickly scanned a website for information.
So basically all of us, let's be real.
Exactly.
It's like those curb cuts they originally designed for wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Now they're used by parents with strollers, delivery people, even skateboarders,
Right.
Good design is good design. So we've established that ADA compliance is important. But what does it actually look like in practice? I think a lot of people hear ADA compliance and think, oh man, that sounds complicated.
Oh, yeah. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, though.
Okay, good.
Think of it this way. It's about making sure people can perceive, interact with, understand, and experience your website,
Okay.
no matter what device they're using.
Okay, so break that down for me. What's the first thing we need to consider when we're talking about making our websites accessible?
Let's start with perception.
Yeah.
Imagine, trying to use a website if you have blurry vision,
Okay.
or even no vision at all.
Right.
That's where things like color contrast come in, or making sure there's alt text for images.
Yeah. Right, because not everyone experiences the web with perfect vision. So, color contrast, that makes sense. I've heard that term alt text before, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on what that actually means in practice.
So alt text is basically like having someone there to describe the image to you if you can't see it.
Okay.
The short description.
Got it.
That gets embedded in the website's code, and screen readers can pick that up and read it out loud.
Ah, okay, so it's like adding subtitles to a video, but for images instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I can see how that's really important.
Absolutely. And speaking of videos, captions are essential too.
Right.
For anyone who's deaf or hard of hearing.
Right.
It's all about just providing different ways to get the same information.
This is making me think about all the times I've just thrown a cool image on my website without thinking twice about it.
Yeah, it's a really common oversight, and
Yep.
it's easy to forget about.
Yeah.
But here's a little bonus. Well-crafted alt text It doesn't just help users with disabilities, it can actually boost your SEO too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Google actually looks at that alt text when it's figuring out how to rank your site in search results.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind. Good for accessibility and good for getting my website seen by more people. I am all about that.
Exactly. Win-win.
So we talked about perceptible information. What about interacting with a website?
Right, so that's where operability comes in. Imagine trying to use a website if you could only use your keyboard,
Okay.
maybe because of a motor impairment or something. Every single thing you need to interact with,
Oh, wow. Okay.
menus, buttons, forms, all of it needs to be usable with just the keyboard.
You know, I've definitely had times where even with a mouse, I get frustrated trying to tab through a form or something on a website.
Exactly, exactly. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And it's often those little things we don't even think about that can be a big barrier for some people. Clear link labeling is another big one.
Okay.
Instead of those vague click here links, you want to have labels that actually tell people where they're going.
Right.
You know, like learn more about ADA compliance
Okay. Yeah, much clearer.
so people know what to expect.
It's like having a map with actual street names instead of just like go over there arrows, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Give people clear directions. And then don't forget about things like slideshows or auto-playing videos.
Right, right.
People need to be able to control those.
Yeah, of course.
Pause, play, adjust the volume, all that without needing a mouse.
That makes sense, especially for someone who, you know, maybe processes information a little differently and just needs a little extra time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered seeing the information, interacting with the website, what's next. So we've covered like seeing the information on a website, interacting with it. But what about understanding the content itself?
Right. Yeah. It's got to make sense too. It's not enough to just put the information up there.
Right.
This is where we get into things like clear language, having a logical structure to the website,
Okay.
clear instructions for people.
So no jargon-filled walls of text, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. Think like you're writing for, plain language, short sentences, easy to digest.
Yeah.
This obviously helps people with cognitive disabilities,
Yeah.
but it's also good for anyone who, maybe they're short on time.
Right.
They're just trying to get information quickly.
It's like we've all been on those websites and it's just like, ugh, I can't even.
Exactly. Exactly.
Too much.
Make it easy on people.
Yeah, like choosing the express lane at the grocery store online. Get in, get what you need, get out.
Exactly. And then when it comes to like more complex tasks on a website, like you're filling out a form or you've got a multi-step process, having super clear instructions is key.
Right.
Think of it like, if you're in a new city, you need good signage to get where you're going.
Yes.
It's the same thing on a website.
Yeah.
And if you hit a detour, because let's face it, we all make mistakes, those error messages need to be really helpful. Instead of just spitting out some random error code, it should be like, looks like you missed a field. Please fill out your email address.
Right. Something actually useful.
Exactly.
This is making me realize like accessibility and good user experience, they really go hand in hand.
100%.
It's not just about checking things off a list.
Yeah.
It's about making your site actually enjoyable.
Yeah, make it work for everyone.
Yeah.
And that brings us to that last piece I mentioned earlier, robustness. Basically making sure your site works no matter what someone's using to view it.
Okay, so like what does that mean in practice though?
So it needs to adapt to different devices.
Right.
Phone, a tablet, different browsers.
Right. Got to look good on my phone just as much as it does on my laptop.
Exactly, exactly. And for people who are using assistive technologies like screen readers.
Okay, so it's got to work across the board.
Across the board, yep.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot to think about. What are some practical first steps people can take if they're just getting started with this?
So a good first step is to do a website audit. And there's some great tools out there that can help you do this.
Okay.
There's Wave-E and there's Lighthouses.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like, little accessibility detectives.
I like it.
They scan your website, figure out where the issues are.
Nice. So they give you a to-do list, kind of?
Yeah, they give you a report, tell you what to fix.
Very helpful. Okay, what's next?
Then, once you kind of see where the problems are, you can start implementing those WK guidelines we talked about. Aim for at least level AA compliance.
Okay.
That's kind of the sweet spot.
Got it.
And don't forget those images and video captions.
Right.
Those are biggie.
Important. Any other like low-hanging fruit things that people can do that are quick wins?
Yeah, try navigating your website using just your keyboard.
Oh, okay.
So no mouse.
Okay.
And see how you do.
See if I can get around.
Yeah, because that'll really, give you a sense of what it's like for someone who can't use a mouse.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm definitely going to try that later.
Yeah, do it. And then just remember, This isn't like a one-time thing, you know?
Right.
Website accessibility is an ongoing process.
It's a journey.
It's a journey,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not a destination.
Okay. Keep coming back. Keep checking up.
Keep checking up on it. Make sure you're staying up to date with the latest guidelines because they do change.
Right.
Technology changes.
It's like taking your website in for a checkup, just like you would with your car or like yourself.
Exactly.
Got to stay on top of it. Well, we've covered so much ground today, from like the why to the how of ADA compliance. And I think it's clear accessibility, it's not about rules.
No, not at all.
It's about people.
It's about people. It's about making a better experience for everyone.
It's about recognizing that the internet's a really powerful tool and everyone deserves access to it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So for our listeners out there, as you start thinking about your own digital spaces, here's a final thought. How can we move beyond just compliance and start designing with empathy, creating websites that are truly inclusive from the very beginning? Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everyone. Until next time.